From Kai Cenat being dragged online for a joke.
Jersey, they got mesh.
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah.
hey. Are you
Bro.
Nah. Word of
He's calling. No, it's calling.
Yo, Ray.
Yo, he's shaking his What the fuck?
Ray, you gotta chill, bro.
To Corey getting accused of harassment over a half-second glance.
Period.
Come on,
Perfect. Perfect twist.
Like, well, hold up. Now, okay, he's licking his lips too.
These are the dumbest attempts to cancel streamers. Starting with Kai Cenat, who somehow managed to get canceled for doing the most dangerous thing imaginable on stream, joking with his own friend.
And I see people trying to cancel Kai Cenat and call him homophobic for this.
What's New Jersey? They got mesh.
Yeah.
Bro, hey. Are you
Bro.
Nah. Word of
He's calling. No, it's calling.
Yo, Ray.
Yo, he's shaking his What the fuck?
Ray, you gotta chill, bro.
Come sit right here.
No,
Come sit right here. It's no explanation. Come sit right here.
Ray,
It's cold.
Ray,
You want
Ray,
a nigga lap y'all some weirdo?
Ray. Bro, you wildin', gang. You wildin'.
No. That's crazy. He wasn't my line.
Bro,
It don't matter.
That's skin to skin. And you got your leg cocked up?
Nah, Ray, you might be AO.
When do y'all come over here?
Ray might be AO.
That was it. No rant or slur, just casual banter between friends that would barely register in real life. Twitter, of course, decided this was undeniable proof that Kai was secretly homophobic because jokes between friends apparently require a full moral investigation now. Suddenly, Kai wasn't joking around with people he's known forever. No, the truth is, he secretly hated gay people. What made it even more ridiculous is that nothing about Kai's tone suggested that. Anyone watching the full clip could tell he was messing around. But of course, context is always ignored in situations like these. Within hours, people who weren't there, didn't know the group dynamic, and who don't watch Kai regularly were confidently explaining what he really meant. Trying to cancel Kai Cenat for some harmless banter between friends sets the tone perfectly, because somehow the controversies only get dumber from here. In 2022, Speed went live and decided it was a good idea to set off some fireworks indoors, on stream in his own house.
Oi! Pikachu!
Within seconds, the room filled with smoke, sparks bounced off the walls, and the situation spiraled completely out of control. The stream ended abruptly, and soon after, clips of the incident flooded social media. But instead of treating it like Speed just being Speed, the internet had a meltdown. Critics accused him of endangering children, promoting unsafe behavior, and being a danger to his audience.
As he could have burned his entire house down, or even worse, gotten himself and his family killed. Plus, by doing this, he set a horrible example for the young viewers watching him, as many younger people follow the monkey see, monkey do logic.
Headlines followed, framing the moment as proof that Speed needed to leave the internet before someone got hurt.
I believe that Speed needs to leave the internet on his own accord for some time to reflect on some of the poor decisions he's made in recent times.
The funniest part was that Speed's audience already expects chaos. His entire brand is impulsive, reckless, and completely unfiltered. No one watching thought this was a safety tutorial. Speed later addressed the incident, admitted it was stupid, and took responsibility, but the calls to cancel him didn't stop. Trying to cancel iShowSpeed for doing something stupid on stream is like canceling a horror movie for being scary. But somehow, the internet still managed to find something even more ridiculous, because some people decided signing a contract was a moral issue. In 2023, XQC announced he was signing a huge deal with Kick, officially leaving Twitch after years as one of its biggest faces. Well, not leaving entirely, as he did mention that he would be alternating between the two platforms, but still.
Where are you?
About to go live.
What? Where?
On Kick. What's up? Chat.
Almost instantly, the backlash exploded, and it wasn't because of anything he did on stream, but because people decided the platform itself was evil. Streamers and viewers alike accused him of selling out, enabling gambling, and betraying the Twitch community, as if switching platforms was some kind of moral failure.
If someone has no money and they get 100 mil, yeah, sure, big life-changing shit. Someone that's got probably 100 mil already gets another 100 mil. What have you done? Nothing.
I agree with Mathful.
You've sold your audience out for another few zeros, and it is absolutely selling your audience out. Because this is the fucking point here. The whole gambling sponsorship here, the whole gambling slots thing, it's disgusting.
The irony was impossible to miss. Twitch had already been bleeding creators to YouTube and Kick, yet when XQC did the same thing with a massive deal, he became the villain. XQC responded the only way XQC ever does. Bluntly, unapologetically, and with zero interest in pretending this wasn't about money.
Loaded words angled in a certain way, usually jealousy, envy, insecurity. It's like the trifecta of human weakness.
He also reminded viewers that streaming is his job, and nobody watching was being forced to follow him anywhere. Trying to cancel XQC for choosing a platform was absurd enough, but the internet wasn't done yet, as they decided owning a house was a political crime. In 2021, the internet discovered something shocking about Hasanabi. He bought a house. Specifically a $2.7 million home in Los Angeles, and suddenly Twitter decided this was the greatest political betrayal of all time. Hassan, a socialist commentator who openly talks about wealth inequality, was now being accused of hypocrisy for choosing to spend his hard-earned money on himself. The Twitter train ran with the idea that being a socialist means you're not allowed to be successful, wealthy, or own nice things, as if ideology comes with a preset bank account limit. What they ignored is the part Hassan had already explained 100 times. Socialism isn't about personal poverty, it's about systemic structures, labor, and who controls capital. Hassan tried to respond to the madness on Twitter first. And then he even addressed the backlash directly, breaking down where his money came from and why socialist streamer buys house isn't the gotcha people think it is.
I did a couple things like boost my credit,
brag to my friends when my socialist streamer only owns a $3 million
as I've talked about as well, in an effort to get decent enough credit so I could get a loan. Because like a lot of people on Twitter think that I, bought a house cash.
But none of that mattered. The narrative stuck because canceling someone is easier when you pretend complex beliefs can be proven wrong by a Zillow listing. Hassan buying a house somehow became proof of an ideological betrayal which already stretched the definition of cancelable. But then the internet managed to do something even stupider and pretended it didn't understand jokes. FaZe Lacey didn't get dragged for a scandal, a crime, or even a bad take. He got dragged for doing exactly what his audience expects him to do. During the Sysathon stream, Lacey made a series of edgy jokes, including saying the R word live. Now, everyone knows his personality is built entirely around shock humor and pushing boundaries, but the Twitter brigade wasn't gonna let that slide. Clips of the moment immediately escaped their context and landed on Twitter, and of course, people didn't hold back. Lacey was accused of being hateful, irresponsible, and proof that streamer culture had gone too far. What made the backlash dumber is that none of this was new. Lacey's entire online persona has always leaned into absurdity, irony, and saying outrageous things on purpose. He wasn't revealing his true self. He was doing the same thing he's always done, just in front of a bigger audience. Lacey responded first by apologizing to Cinna, live on stream, only to say the R word again.
I'm sorry for saying the word. For saying the R word.
Thank you.
I was retarded when I said it, and
stop doing that. I'm serious.
Okay.
And later pointed out that people who don't watch his content were suddenly acting like experts on his intent, and he doesn't really care what anyone thinks.
Get clear? Yep. The things I'm saying is not because I just saw someone say you don't need Pogger's approval. It's not. Dude, I don't give a fuck what that community thinks, but out of respect for my friends Cinna and Valkyrae, that is why
Our friends Cinna and Valkyrae.
Trying to cancel FaZe Lacey for edgy jokes on stream was like showing up to a comedy roast and complaining that people were mean. And somehow, the internet still found a way to get mad at another streamer for doing the exact opposite. In 2023, Charlie somehow found himself in hot water for doing the most dangerous thing possible on the internet, having an opinion. Charlie reacted to iDubbbz' apology video, where iDubbbz addressed his past use of slurs and edgy content. Charlie's take was pretty straightforward, where he believed that people shouldn't be endlessly punished for content they'd already moved on from.
The point of his content wasn't to be hateful or hurtful. He really was just trying to entertain. At least that's how I and the majority of people viewed it. So I just don't think that the apology is really warranted. To think that it is this huge massive problem, like you made an unforgivable mistake.
But that was enough for the internet police. People immediately decided that reacting neutrally meant defending slurs, and Charlie was accused of downplaying harm, platforming bad behavior, and running cover for iDubbbz's past. The backlash got so exaggerated that Charlie did something almost unheard of for him. He took his own opinion back.
The point of my video was never to attack the idea that someone growing and regretting things they've done in their past is a bad thing. I really thought I made that clear, but I must have missed the mark since so many people are saying that the whole core component of my video is to attack the fact that he's apologizing for personal growth and doing things that make him happy, which I never meant to convey, and if that's what came across, then I'm sorry that I missed the mark.
And that's what made this cancellation attempt so dumb. Charlie was just pointing out how the whole thing was never that serious to begin with, and the world had become overly sensitive, which somehow became controversial. When a creator as careful and reasonable as Charlie has to apologize just to make the snowflake mob calm down, it goes to show just how far the world has gone down the rabbit hole of madness. And yet, what comes next might still surprise you. By 2025, Asmongold was already no stranger to controversy, but this time, the backlash reached a whole new level. Another cancellation wave hit after clips of his comments about gender transition for minors began circulating online. The claim was that Asmongold was promoting violence against trans people and that he wanted all of them to be killed.
And do you see this? They're trying to get you deplatformed. People are not even watching the clip. What is this here? This is another meltdown. Asmongold essentially saying, we are going to kill all trans people and it's their fault. For sure, that's exactly what I was trying to say. While smirking and having no understanding of the political landscape or the fact that he does not actually have any power within it. A perfect encapsulation of online chuds and dweebs like him.
Except that's not what he said at all. He was simply arguing against irreversible medical procedures for children, specifically questioning whether minors can meaningfully consent to permanent life-altering treatments.
Just to be absolutely clear, we are not talking about psychological counseling. We are not talking about puberty blockers. We are talking about hormone replacement therapy to children, the effects of which are permanent and irreversible.
You know what else is irreversible and permanent? Puberty!
Again, cry about it, everything else, this has an expiration date.
That was the core of the take. No calls for harm, no threats, no suggestion that anyone should be hurt or removed from society. But once the clips left their original context, common sense completely disappeared. Short snippets were reframed, reactions were stacked on top of reactions, and suddenly the narrative became that Asmongold was saying something he very clearly wasn't. Headlines and tweets focused on the most extreme possible interpretation because drama travels faster than explanation ever could. Asmongold pushed back, pointing out that disagreeing with a medical policy, especially one involving children, is not the same thing as advocating harm toward an entire group of people.
Right. I'm not talking about 17, we're talking about 7. No reasonable, normal person spends this much time trying to communicate and advocate for kids to be confused about their gender. And that inside of some enclaves of mentally ill retards on Reddit, they think this is normal. This is not normal at all. This is insane. This is absolutely fucking insane. And you're talking about prepubescent children. We're not talking about a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old. And I also want to say that if you care about trans people, you will repudiate this person.
But by that point, the damage was already done. A discussion about consent and irreversible decisions was twisted into something it never was. And if you think that was unhinged, wait until you see what happened when someone tried to stay out of the drama entirely. Ludwig's cancellation attempt started because he didn't want to be involved. During the Hasanabi shock collar drama, Hasan was accused of abusing his dog by putting a shock collar on him, and Ludwig made it clear he didn't want to engage with the situation. He acknowledged what people were saying, admitted he didn't know all the facts, and tried to stay out of a controversy that was already spiraling out of control.
Didn't want to have to deal with like any of the Hasan drama.
I'm also not even friends with Hasan, but that 100% is a shock collar, as a fact.
But instead of saving him, it did the opposite. Clips of Ludwig's comments were immediately pulled apart and reassembled into a completely different story. Suddenly, people claimed he secretly hated Hasan, didn't trust his own girlfriend, and was throwing everyone under the bus while pretending to be neutral.
Fact.
Ludwig probably hates Hasan because he spends more time with his girlfriend than he does. He decides to dagger Hasan today by saying it's 100% a shock collar, and then immediately says, but I don't know. No, he said that he thinks it's a shock collar for sure, but he doesn't know whether he shocked the dog. This implies that Ludwig only thinks his IRL friend abuses his dog and that his own girlfriend is a liar.
None of it was true, yet it didn't matter. His take was reframed as betrayal, and saying "I don't know" somehow turned into an accusation. Somehow refusing to farm drama became proof of hidden motives. The character assassination escalated fast. People started implying Ludwig had changed politically, turned his back on past values, or was moving to a different audience entirely. Some even went as far as questioning his relationship, dragging his girlfriend into it as collateral damage.
Crazy how the guy who used to have a big trans flag in the background of his streams just ended up becoming some fence-sitting loser. So now they're saying that he doesn't like trans people anymore. And like, y'all see how this happens, right? What does Cutie see in Ludwig? They're basically engaging in the most vicious and hostile form of character assassination.
Ludwig just didn't participate, and that alone was enough to make him a target. Trying to cancel Ludwig for refusing to engage in drama perfectly captures how broken online arguments have become. And somehow, the internet still managed to top that by turning a half-second glance into a full-blown scandal. Corks Kenshin's cancellation attempt might be one of the most absurd ones yet, because it was built entirely on a fraction of a second. During a livestream, a brief clip surfaced of Corey glancing in the direction of his barber. That was it.
Like, let me rewind that. Hold up.
Crispy.
Period.
Come on, period.
Perfect Twitter.
Like, well, hold up.
It was just a quick look that most people wouldn't even notice in real time. But the internet noticed. The clip was frozen, zoomed, slowed down, and reposted across social media with a completely new narrative attached. Suddenly, Corey was being accused of lectualizing his barber, making her uncomfortable and abusing his position as a large creator.
Probably a bit of an exaggeration, but people are in sort of a debate in comments regarding this video, because if you didn't just see it,
all without any evidence beyond a single glance. The clip spiraled into full-blown character assassination, forcing Corey to address it himself.
I'm not gonna lie, the lip lick was crazy, but that was a totally unrelated event, okay? I was chewing gum. My lips got a little dry, I licked the lip. Before she even got in front of me, I was already looking that way. There's a camera right in front of me. So I'm trying not to like look at the camera and be awkward. I'm like looking at other areas of the room.
But none of that mattered, and people who weren't there and didn't know the context still decided they knew Corey's intent better than anyone else. And that's what made it so absurd. Corey has spent years building a reputation around respect, positivity, and staying completely drama-free. Trying to cancel Corey over a glance wasn't just dumb, it was a perfect example of how the internet doesn't need facts to whip up a scandal.
But it's still behind me. Y'all taking that clip and blowing it up that much? Y'all need to find something to do.
Now, every single year, the Streamer Awards roll around, and every single year, the exact same controversy follows right behind it. When the 2025 Streamer Awards nominations were revealed, people immediately noticed some big names missing. Most notably, Asmongold, one of the largest and most influential streamers on the platform, didn't get nominated at all. And that's when the accusations started flying. Streamers like Asmongold himself and Tectone accused QT, the host and organizer, of rigging the nominations to favor her friends while quietly leaving out creators she didn't like or didn't agree with.
QT has been accused, and this is really no surprise to anybody, but she's been accused of rigging the Streamer Awards. Now, here's the question. Are the people that are in the Streamer Awards the people that got the most votes? What do you guys think? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't even think it's close. And I feel like you've taken some degree of liberties with it.
According to the internet, this was a calculated hit job. They're voted on, and a lot of fan bases simply don't show up to vote. In other words, if your audience doesn't care enough to participate, you don't make the list.
It's always funny. Audiences will complain every year that they weren't nominated and then like not do nominations on stream or not tweet about it or not like ask their audience to vote for them or nothing. They'll give nothing. They give nothing, you know? It's like, you do have to log in with a Twitch account and you have to fill it out, which I know some people's viewers don't have. I won't say the quiet part out loud. So
she also got emotional on stream while explaining that she doesn't have infinite resources, she can't possibly be an expert on every community, and that she was genuinely exhausted from trying to keep everyone happy.
thank you. I just love puzzles. God, I'm doing my fucking best over here. And the store didn't even have Cheerios. I'm just so tired.
QT responded by explaining that the nominations were not handpicked by her at all. Streaming is massive, communities are fragmented, and award shows are inherently subjective. But of course, that didn't calm anyone down. And the narrative stayed that QT Cinderella was secretly pulling strings behind the scenes, and some people even went as far as calling for the whole award show to be cancelled. Trying to cancel QT Cinderella over award nominations people disagree with perfectly wraps up this entire list. At this point, even running an award show is enough to get you dragged online.